Do you struggle to understand stories and their deeper meaning? Or is writing literature difficult and confusing? Today's lesson is meant to help you read and write literature like an author. To help us do this, we're going to learn about literary devices. Welcome to another lesson brought to you courtesy of Saved Learning. As always, be sure to print out the free graphic organizer in the description below so that you can take notes as you follow along. To begin, let's use an analogy. Batman is a popular superhero recently featured in Justice League with the Flash. In a quick exchange, the Flash asks Batman, "What's your superpower again?" Batman replies, "I'm rich." And this is really partially true. Let's take a look at how he uses his money, how being rich makes him a superhero. Okay, here's Batman. Notice his utility belt. This is where being rich comes into play. Inside this belt, Batman has a variety of tools. Batarangs, grappling hooks, cryptographic sequencer, rebreather, taser, bolas. Without these tools, well, Batman just isn't the same. A big part of his superpower, not all of it, but a big part, comes from his utility kit. Similarly, a writer can't write well, and a reader can't read well without their own utility kit. Hence, literary devices. There are dozens and dozens of literary devices. Today, we're going to learn about 6 of the most common ones that will help us become better readers and writers. Similes, hyperbole, personification, imagery, metaphors, and synecdoche. Let's start with similes and metaphors. They're pretty similar. Both compare two things. They use a common or ordinary idea to help explain a difficult or complex one. The difference? Similes always use the words like or as, and metaphors don't. That's it. Typically, metaphors use is or are instead. That's the only difference, but it's a big one. And let's find out why. Take Batman again. We could say Batman is like a bat, and looking at him, we can see some similarities. Maybe the shape of his ears, or the colors he wears, or the cape and how it lets him kind of fly. The simile allows for freedom to imagine the similarities. The metaphor would be, Batman is a bat, and here there is less room for interpretation. Let's look at another example and see how strong metaphors can be. Here we have Roadhog, a popular character in the game Overwatch. We could use a simile to describe him. Roadhog is like a pig, and we can imagine those similarities. But if we said Roadhog is a pig, the metaphor, well, it leaves less to the imagination. If you really want to connect two ideas together strongly, then use the metaphor. Frankly, no one is going to misinterpret it if you call them a pig. They will know exactly what you mean. So similes are used to create imaginative comparisons for readers to think about, and metaphors are those strong connections that give great detail at the cost of ambiguity. Now, let's move on to personification. Our third literary device is when human-like qualities are given to objects or animals or even ideas. Disney is guilty of this all the time, and it makes for great movies. In Toy Story, all the toys come to life. In Zootopia, all the animals are alive. Frozen features a friendly snowman, and Inside Out has personified emotions. Clearly, personification can bring things to life. But it is also often used far more subtly than that. For example, a writer could personify a candle flame by writing, "The flame moved and danced as if alive." Or if in an open field, could say, "The wind whistled to me a sweet melody." Flame moving and dancing? Wind whistling a melody? This is also personification. These things have been given human-like qualities. We've learned to compare with similes and metaphors, and now we can bring to life with personification. Next, we have hyperbole. And it's basically just a fancy word for exaggeration, and one that isn't meant to be taken literally or seriously. Let's look at some examples. "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." Well, you might be starving, but no one can eat an entire horse. Or, My feet are killing me would mean that your feet hurt, not that they're trying to kill you. These are just expressions. Here are a few more examples. But my favorite is, I've told you 1,000 times not to exaggerate. Now, I haven't literally scolded you 1,000 times. I just mean that I've said it so often that I've lost count. Our fifth literary device is Synecdoche, and it's when the part stands for the whole. Some examples will help us make sense of that. Imagine the captain of a ship yells, "All hands on deck." This is what they mean. Everyone should come to the top of the ship. What the captain does not mean is chop off your hands and throw it onto the deck. Hands in this sentence stands for the whole person, the entire person. One more example. Synecdoche can also mean the opposite, when the whole stands for a part. For example, today the American government announced that, and what they probably mean by American government is the president or some other elected official. What the statement does not mean by American government is the White House and Pentagon and Police Department and Fire Department, Parks Department, Department of Education, Sanitation. The whole American government is huge. Synecdoche brings the whole down to one person to represent it. Our sixth and final device is imagery, and it's the use of visually descriptive language. Think about the phrase, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." That's a solid 2-page essay. Look at these pictures. Notice the detail, what clothes they're wearing, the expressions on their faces, perhaps the movement that you can imagine. Movies don't need to verbalize this information, but writers do, so that readers can visualize it. And they need to do it in fewer than 2 pages. So we need descriptive language. We need imagery. I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to read a short passage. So close your eyes and try and visualize what the author is trying to create. Wordsworth wrote, "A host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze." Can you see the image? The movement? That's imagery. Help your reader visualize the scene by adding imagery to your writing. And those are your 6 literary devices. As always, thank you for watching this lesson brought to you by Saved Learning. We're here to make teachers' lives easier and students' lives better.